I have now the great pleasure to welcome the President of MPIF, Mr. Patrick McGeehan, to give us an overview of the PM industry in North America.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to provide the overview of the North American powder metallurgy industry. Earlier this year, MPIF held its annual PowderMet 2016 conference in additive manufacturing in Boston. As you know, Boston was the historic setting for the American patriot Paul Revere's famous ride where he cried out, "The British are coming, the British are coming." And now, 140 years later, I think the EU is crying, "The British are exiting, the British are exiting." Times are certainly changing. And the times are changing as well at the executive leadership at the three global PM industry associations. Recently, both, as you heard, EPMA and JPMA hired new executive directors. My congratulations to Lionel, who begins his EPMA career with this important Congress. MPIF will also be transitioning to new leadership in the coming months. After an extraordinary 50-year career at MPIF, the last 13 as executive director, Jim Trombino, who most of you know, will be retiring in January, and Jim Adams, my helpful slide advancer, will assume the role as executive director of MPIF and APMI International. Jim Adams is well known to many of you, having served on our staff since 2004. He has been responsible for leading many MPIF, APMI, and also the Center for Powder Metallurgy Technology activities. We expect a smooth transition, and I'm sure we can look forward to many more years of strong executive leadership in Princeton, New Jersey. The last few years have been very good for the North American PM industry and for MPIF as it continues to do an outstanding job bringing together industry leaders and practitioners together to provide meaningful support, projects, and activities that help our global industry and individual companies grow and prosper. MPIF is committed to work with our friends at EPMA and JPMA, and by now the extension to APMA, to advance PM technology worldwide. The global alliances have already paid great dividends, evidenced by the rotation of these PM World Congresses, which began in New York City in 1965, sponsored by MPIF. Our collaboration also continues with the unprecedented success of the global PM database, shared financially by all three organizations. And now, I will present the highlights from the 2016 State of the North American PM Industry, first published this past June at the conference in Boston, and now revised to incorporate updates for this Congress. The North American powder metallurgy industry continues to flourish, with confidence remaining high at the majority of the PM industry companies. Following a very healthy 2015, the year opened positively, and based on business trends in the first 6 months of this year, stable production levels are forecast for the balance of 2016, according to most informed observers. Conventional press and sinter companies and metal powder producers report this year's business levels are roughly even with 2015. Companies involved with metal injection molding, metal additive manufacturing, and hot isostatic pressing anticipate improved growth. The demand for refractory metals, however, continues to decline as international oil and gas markets suffer. 2015 wrapped up another modest growth year for metal powder shipments. Total iron powder shipments increased by 1.7% to 384,000 metric tons, with the PM sector reflecting 91% and growing by 2.3% to roughly 350,000 metric tons. Other sectors representing welding, cutting, scarfing, lancing dropped off substantially. Stainless steel powder shipments increased an estimated 2.5% to 7,347 metric tons. Copper powder shipments increased at the same amount to an estimated 16,272 metric tons. Aluminum remained about even with the previous year at a little over 36,000 tons. However, aluminum powder metallurgy, while accounting for an estimated 5% of the total North American powder market, is in a new growth mode. Other powder shipment estimates are shown. Total North American estimated metal powder shipments for 2015 increased 1.2% to 458,000 metric tons. Developing metal powders for metal additive manufacturing via gas atomization is a new trend set for acceleration by most leading powder producers. Meanwhile, MAM's success in aerospace and medical sectors continues to pave the way for future applications. Recycling and reuse of powder beds is a main concern that will need to be addressed to help reduce the cost of raw materials. Currently, MAM market remains small and limited to 15 commercially available materials, but it offers exciting promise in the years ahead. Other trends include the growing need for precision machining of PM parts. Powder suppliers are introducing high-performance lubricants and additives for the press and sinter market. Aluminum powder market for PM applications is undergoing a new surge as automotive designers seek lighter weight parts. The use of higher strength aluminum alloys with metal matrix composites is showing renewed interest to reduce mass and provide improved properties. This focus is currently a project within the Lightweight Innovations for Tomorrow, or LIFT consortium. This industry-led U.S. government-funded consortium is investigating the development of a cost-effective process for submicron reinforced aluminum metal matrix composites. As a member of LIFT, MPIF is supportive of this initiative. Traditional PM equipment suppliers, tool makers, compacting press builders, and sintering furnace manufacturers are the beneficiaries of parts makers upgrading their capabilities by adding new, more efficient equipment. Tool makers were challenged and are meeting requirements for tighter tolerances ranging from plus or minus 5 micrometers and tooling for more complex, larger size parts. They continue to invest in state-of-the-art equipment with high-speed machine tools, utilizing coded cutters, programmable consistent chip loads with capabilities for different helix and rake angles. Larger compacting presses above 500 tons are a bright spot for the compact press suppliers as requirements for larger, more complex parts continues to grow. Presses featuring faster part changeover times are being driven by the goal to complete a tooling changeover in 5 minutes, certainly a significant challenge. Sintering furnace builders continue to provide more controls for data acquisition, such as temperature loop feedback and gas flows. Furnaces are also being retrofitted with rapid cooling systems to assist in sinter hardening and increase production throughput. However, the second half of 2016 could see a softening in the overall PM equipment sales. PM parts makers continue to fare well, especially firms selling heavily into the robust automotive market. Major markets such as automotive, appliance products, lawn and garden are experiencing single-digit growth, while demand for off-road and agricultural equipment unfortunately has weakened. PM parts manufacturers are enjoying moderately busy production levels, but continue to face a shortage of skilled labor, a lingering problem in the U.S. Furthermore, connecting with the millennial generation is a problem faced by many industries. While North American light vehicle production soared to a record 17.4 million units in 2015, automotive experts point to a plateauing or decline of PM content without any significant new applications. However, there is across the board good news in shrinking gasoline prices, which have revved up the sales of larger light trucks and SUVs in the U.S. These models typically contain more than 27 kilograms of PM parts. But another roadblock is lingering for the industry: the continuing trend to downsize from 8-cylinder engines to 6, 4, and now even 3-cylinder engines with smaller transmissions. Smaller engines need fewer connecting rods and main bearing caps, and smaller transmissions need smaller planetary carriers and gears. A major automotive maker is transitioning to a new 9 and 10-speed transmissions containing only 1.5 kilograms of PM parts compared with 5 kilograms in the prior generation design. Accordingly, several observers believe that the PM content in vehicles will erode by 1/4 to 1/2 kilogram annually for the next 5 years. Additionally, the trend to hybrids, electric, alternative vehicle powers, although will not have a serious effect in the short term, will have a more serious effect in the next decade. However, there is hope for the PM parts makers. Value-added machining, part complexity, assemblies equate to increased dollar value solutions that favor PM. Powder and equipment suppliers have already stepped up to support these opportunities. Ahead of the U.S. government's auto corporate average fuel economy, or CAFE standards, their target of 54.5 miles per gallon in 2025, the design of lighter weight vehicles will continue to accelerate. This daunting and controversial standard offers an important opportunity for high-strength powder metallurgy aluminum parts. For example, an automatic transmission one-way clutch retainer represents an innovative PM aluminum MMC application that provides improved wear due to the ceramic embedded in the softer aluminum. Another possible example of PM aluminum's advantage is going from a steel main bearing cap at 0.8 kilograms to an aluminum replacement at 0.3 kilograms. A substantial weight savings. PM is lightweight enabling technology, something that we hope to promote in the future. Slower growth impacted the U.S. metal injection molding market in 2015, mainly due to the decline of the domestic firearms market. The annual North American MIM market is estimated to range from 1.2 to 1.6 million kilograms. The decline in the firearms market that began in late 2014 impacted 2015 powder demand. Despite this, 2015 MIM part sales still grew modestly in the lower single digits. This decline in firearms drove the shift in market mix from MIM parts by weight of parts shipped. The medical and dental sector consumed about 1/3 of the shipments, followed closely by the general industrial and firearms. Shipments of automotive and aerospace MIM parts are gaining as well as cutting tools. The firearm market has recovered to a more normal pattern during 2016 and now is spiking again. Probably has something to do with our current election cycle, I'm not sure. Mass casualty shootings in North America have impacted firearm sales as citizens seek personal protection options and react to the anticipated or proposed tougher gun control laws. Overall, the majority of the members of the Metal Injection Molding Association forecasts business increasing between 5 and 10% in 2016. The hot isostatic pressing business was strong last year for metal powder products and the densification of MIM parts. All powder-related applications, canned powder shapes, MIM and MAM parts account for an estimated 20 to 25% of the hipping business, with the balance going to casting. Aerospace applications are growing, while energy-related applications in the oil and gas market have suffered steep declines. The HIP industry recently added a substantial amount of new capacity to meet increasing demand through 2018, especially for aerospace applications. While the hype for the metal additive manufacturing, or MAM, has calmed down somewhat, an estimated 50 to less than 100 North American companies and organizations, including job shops, captive operations, universities, R&D firms, are actively pursuing MAM and the development programs using metal powders. To this end, machine sales are surging, which you saw earlier, but most MAM installations are producing parts in short runs of up to 100 units. Aerospace, nearly always an early adopter of bright technologies, has grabbed the reins and is charging ahead with the use of MAM, along with the medical market segment. 3 significantly longer running commercial PM applications remain in the forefront: titanium medical implants, individual teeth and cranial implants, cobalt chrome dental copings, and cobalt chrome aircraft nozzles, the GE designed aircraft nozzle. Thus far, the leading MAM powder materials include 316, 17.4 pH stainless steels, cobalt chrome, and titanium. Other materials used in MAM development programs include Inconel 625 and Inconel 718, platinum, moly, and tungsten. For example, one company suggests MAM of moly and tungsten collimators and anti-scatter grids for CT scanners and gamma cameras. Most companies in PM industry view MAM as a complementary technology and an opportunity to enter a new technology sector. We must continue to monitor this growing segment of our industry while looking for ways to nurture this complementary relationship. The tungsten market continues to experience difficult times with no immediate relief in sight. North American oil and gas drilling rigs are at their lowest levels in decades. Mining activity remains stagnant. Both of these well-established tungsten product markets play an important factor in the PM industry. As shown earlier, the 2015 tungsten and tungsten carbide powder shipments declined about 20% compared with 2014. A further weakening of energy prices has impacted the tungsten business again in 2016, as well as weakening commodity prices, which we also saw earlier, contrailing mining. The bright spot is non-mining and energy-related demand continues at a steady pace, mirroring guarded confidence in the U.S. economy. The MPIF Technical Board continues focusing on lean alloys, advanced PM steels, and thermal processing, along with new lightweight materials to meet the CAFE standards. New lightweight PM alloys and novel PM processing techniques have the potential of reducing the weight of PM parts by 10 to 30%. Our technical board is also studying other technology issues such as the developments in hybrid and electric vehicles, batteries, and dimensional variation in PM parts. The latter review concerns how materials react to compacting and heat treatment with the goal of achieving closer tolerances and simply trying to reduce the need for extensive machining. Simply put, reducing the variation to increase accuracy and consistency. Additionally, during 2016, the Technology Board is reassessing and updating its PM industry roadmap, last revised in 2012, to ensure that our industry has identified the technical challenges so that we remain the preferred supplier and preferred metal forming solution. The Center for PM Technology continues to work on important projects, including the investigation of how shot peening can improve PM gear performance, testing new die wall lubrication processes for warm tool compaction, studying resonant acoustical powder blending, and improving sinter hardening with low mass carbon fiber plates. The ongoing low cycle strain controlled fatigue study in coordination with the MPIF Standards Committee has resulted in new data for the MPIF Standard 35, which recently added aluminum data. So far this year, companies selling traditional PM parts report stable business production. Metal powder suppliers forecast shipments slightly even with 2015 or possibly slightly down. For example, iron powder shipments through June of this year were 196,000 metric tons, almost even with last year. Projected copper and stainless steel powder shipments will end 2016 mostly plateaued. Again, the soft oil and gas markets are impacting many of these segments. The oil and gas drilling is down along with fracking, which impacts thermal spray powders negatively as well. Press and sinter part makers, depending on what markets they serve, expect modest business increase. Aluminum PM is positioned to surge over the next several years for many new automotive applications to meet the new standards. MIM companies forecast growth this year of 5 to 10%, possibly higher. HIP companies have increased capacity to support production increases, and that is being led by the aerospace. An investment in North American PM infrastructure is required to ensure continued support of these new applications, technology advancements, and capacity. So in our annual Pulse survey, 42% of the responding MPIF members stated that they would increase capital spending in 2016, and 52% report remaining even with 2015. So this is good news, as we must continue to invest in our facilities to maintain our state-of-the-art technology. So in conclusion, besides the optimism, clouds of geopolitical uncertainty and anxiety hang over the U.S. Presidential elections will impact the industry as well. North American manufacturing may be stalling and in a rut, according to many economists. We must be prepared for a flattening of the automotive growth, possibly beginning next year. The press and sinter sector of the industry is maturing and must address these challenges. More investment in R&D is always vital. End user education is a never-ending theme that also rings true. But one positive constant has run through the industry throughout its history. We continue to be a community of innovative entrepreneurs, engineers, and scientists who refuse to believe the critics and continue to surprise the engineered materials community with new advances, much the same as Peter was saying, and Philip was saying. The future remains positive, and PM is a 21st century advanced manufacturing technology that will continue to provide new and exciting materials with special properties and process improvements. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McGeehan, for that excellent summary of the situation in the North American industry.